Hello friends, I'm George, the nice smelling gentleman. Welcome back to the channel guys, I hope that all of you are doing well. Today's video is going to be about 3 scents from the house of Zimaya. And as you probably already know, Zimaya is a sub-brand of Afnan which makes cologne fragrances, and the three fragrances that I'm going to show in this video today make no difference. All 3 of them are clones. The first one is called Vigor, and this fragrance is a clone of Bvlgari's Falkar. The second one is called Ghayath, and this fragrance is a clone of Memo's Iberian leather. And the third one is called Ilham Al Oud, and this fragrance is a clone of Louis Vuitton's Ombre Nomade. Now, out of the 3 fragrances that I'm going to show in this video today, one of them I straight up don't like, one of them I still have not decided whether I really like it or not, and the third one I really enjoy. And I'm going to show them in pretty much that same order. And I'm going to start with the one that I don't really like, and that's Vigor. Now, when it comes to packaging, this is the box that Vigor comes packaged in. It's a pretty nice looking box. The production date on this bottle is February of 2022. In order to get to the bottle, you need to take this upper bottom part out, and once you do, this is how the bottle looks. Now, the note breakdown of Vigor has the following notes. The top notes are nutmeg, cinnamon, bergamot, and lemon verbena. The middle notes are cypriol oil, olibanum, saffron, and red apple, and the base notes are lavender, ambergris, and oud. It seems like a very complex note breakdown, and as I said, this fragrance is supposedly a clone of Bvlgari's Falkar. Now, I've never tried the original fragrance, so I cannot tell you how close this is to the original, but I can tell you how this smells and why I don't like it. Now, immediately after spraying, you get kind of a fresh, opening, thanks to those, the bergamot, that lemon verba note. It really gives this fragrance a nice fresh opening, but unfortunately that fresh opening lasts for like 20 seconds, 30 seconds, up to a minute at maximum. And also it's quite a lot of oud in this fragrance in the opening. And unfortunately that's the reason why I don't like Vigor. It's very heavy on the oud note, and it feels kind of animalic, and it dominates the scent of this fragrance right from the opening to the late dry down. When it comes to performance, this is another area where I was left a bit disappointed. Usually oud based fragrances tend to be quite strong, but Vigor has disappointed me. The total longevity is about 6 to 7 hours, which is not that bad, but where this lacks is the projection. It's really more of an intimate type of scent. When it comes to the price tag, I paid about 17-18 euros to get it, so it's very cheap fragrance, but at the end of the day, I really have not been enjoying Vigor. We'll go on to the second scent featured in this video, which is Ghayath, again from the house of Zimaya. The fragrance comes packaged in this silver colored box that has a black sleeve with an interesting effect. The bottle size here is 100 milliliters, like it was with the Vigor as well. Concentration EDP again, like with the first fragrance, which I forgot to mention. The production date of this bottle is August of 2023, and the box has one interesting effect. I hope you're going to be able to see it, but if you slide this sleeve part on top of the box, you see this creates a sort of like a running horse effect. And it's a really clever and interesting packaging. And once you open up the box, this is how the bottle looks. Again, has a very interesting design. You get this, the cap is styled in a sort of like a horse's head. It's a metallic cap, quite heavy, a snug fit, and the whole bottle actually is very heavy. The note breakdown of Ghayath from Zimaya has the following notes. The top notes are bergamot, coriander, and geranium. The middle notes are cinnamon, clove, iris, and saffron. And the base notes are leather, musk, oak moss, and oud. Again, I'm going to show you the sprayer in action, and this forgot to mention the fact that this is the fragrance that I have not yet decided whether I really like it or not. The sprayer here is actually very good. And on to the scent of Ghayath. Now, the most challenging part for me, about this fragrance is the opening. Again, this is a fragrance that has an oud note that's quite strong. Again, still feels like a kind of animalic, like the first fragrance that I showed you, but At least here that animalic effect is a lot toned down compared to the first one. Still though, the opening is just too dark and too spicy for for my taste. It's quite challenging and definitely feels quite dark. The opening is dominated by a slight freshness, but you also get a strong oud note. You get the leather in this fragrance, which is one of the main players right after you spray it, with a touch of sweetness in the opening. On the dry down is where this fragrance actually becomes a little bit easier to wear. I start to pick up the iris, there's quite a lot of amber sweetness on the dry down in here. The whole fragrance just softens up a little bit and becomes a lot less challenging, quite warm on the dry down. And actually the dry down is, I can almost safely say that it's quite enjoyable. So the opening is challenging, the dry down is enjoyable. When it comes to how close this is to the original fragrance, the last time I tried Iberian leather was quite a while ago, so I cannot really tell you with certainty how close this is to the original, but it definitely brings the memories of the original fragrance. So I will, let's say I guess that this is actually quite a good clone of the original fragrance. When it comes to performance, this fragrance actually has been a pretty good performer. I've been getting about 8 hours of performance out of it, with a nice projection in the first hour and a half. When it comes to the price tag, usually this is sold at Notino's website here in Europe for roughly about 20 euros, which is a pretty decent deal. And on to the last fragrance in this video, Zimaya's Ilham Al Oud. This is the box that the fragrance comes packaged in. It's pretty simplistic, brownish color with some golden accents. The whole box has a sort of an wooden finish to it. The production date of my bottle, let me just find it, is actually November of 2023. And then this is how the bottle looks. Again, pretty simplistic looking bottle. It's a wooden cap. This is the lightest bottle out of the three in here, but also this is the cheapest fragrance. Just keep that in mind. The packaging is alright. The note breakdown of Ilham Al Oud has the following notes. The top notes are oud, rose and incense. The middle notes are raspberry, saffron and benzoin resin, and the base notes are leather notes, jasmine, amber and patchouli. As I said, this fragrance is a clone of Louis Vuitton's Ombre Nomade, and it's a pretty similar note breakdown to the original fragrance. This is the sprayer in action, and it's quite a decent sprayer. And onto the scent of Ilham Al Oud. If you're familiar with the original scent, the original fragrance, Ombre Nomade, you immediately recognize that Ilham Al Oud is a clone of that one. Immediately after spraying, you get lots of rose, lots of oud with a touch of raspberry and incense, and also quite a lot of leather. When this dries down, the mix changes a little bit. The oud becomes stronger, the leather becomes stronger, the rose is there also, and the amber becomes stronger, giving this fragrance quite a lot more sweetness on the dry down compared to the opening. The rose is also there. It's quite a linear scent, just pretty similar to the original fragrance. It doesn't change that much, and it's actually a very enjoyable scent for me. But I like the original, and I like all the good clones of Louis Vuitton's Ombre Nomade. When it comes to how close it's to the original, it's definitely a clone of the original. You immediately pick up that, but feels quite a lot rougher, and that's to be expected because this thing costs like 15-20 times less compared to the original. The leather note in here doesn't feel as higher quality. The raspberry note is you get just a hint of the raspberry, unlike with the original. The rose feels a little bit synthetic, and the oud note in here feels kind of animalic, just a little bit compared to the original fragrance, but actually it's not a bad clone at all. When it comes to performance, I was a little bit disappointed. I was expecting a little bit better performance. I've been getting about 7 to 7.5 hours of performance out of this fragrance, with pretty loud projection in the first hour and a half up to 2 hours. I was expecting a little bit better performance, but that's the reality. When it comes to the price tag, very cheap. Notino are selling this for something like 14 euros, which is an absolute steal at that price point, in my opinion, if you're looking for a clone of Ombre Nomade. And that's the cheapest clone that, at least to my knowledge, on the markets of Ombre Nomade. And on to my final thoughts about the 3 fragrances featured in today's video. I'll start off with the one that I don't like, Vigor. And the reasons, as I said already, is because the oud note in here is just too overpowering, and it feels just too skanky in my opinion, just too animalic, and I don't like it for that reason. And also I was a little bit disappointed by the performance of this fragrance, so I would not recommend this to anybody. Don't blind buy this, you definitely need to sample it first. Moving on to Ghayath, this fragrance, you know, my opinion has been like 50-50 on this one. I don't really enjoy the opening of this fragrance, but I kind of like the dry down. The opening is just too spicy and too heavy on the oud note. The dry down though is quite a lot warmer, less spicy, softer, and it's been kind of enjoyable. But again, definitely not a fragrance that's safe for blind buying. Try to sample this one first before buying it, and I'm still not fully decided on whether I like it or not. And moving on to Ilham Al Oud, the last fragrance in this video. This is the one that I actually like, but simply because I like the original fragrance, you know, Ombre Nomade. I actually like it quite a lot, and every good clone out there that I've been able to get my hands on it, I also like, and Ilham Al Oud makes no difference. It's pretty similar to the original fragrance, of course feels a little bit rougher, but that's to be expected because this thing costs 15-20 times less compared to the original, which is pretty much insane in my opinion. And the quality and the performance that you get out of it for the price tag of about 14 euros is an insane value in my opinion. So guys, in today's video I showed you three clone fragrances from the house of Zimaya. Ghayath, which is a clone of Memo's Iberian leather. Vigor, which is a clone supposedly of Bvlgari's Falkar, and Ilham Al Oud, which is a clone of Louis Vuitton's Ombre Nomade. I hope that you found this video interesting. If you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me in the next one. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.